Was a Rockies fan. Tony, licking your wounds after that tough loss yesterday?
I am in a state of depression. I will try to, get my energy level up. First, the Rockies lose, then the Broncos lose to the Chiefs. It was not a good night in the Messenger household.
Well, you will carry on, my friend.
But everybody's a Rockies fan today, right? Because we're going against the Cubs. Nobody likes the Cubs.
I'm of two minds of that. I often think that I want the team that beat my team to win it all. And then I know that I don't really like the Cubs, so I don't really care if the Cubs win or lose. So I don't know. I'm of two minds of that. I did read.
Assuming you're not bad luck, if you root for the Rockies tonight against the Cubs, I'd really appreciate it.
You don't want me rooting for your team. You don't want me rooting for your team. I'm bad luck, so you want me rooting for the Cubs tonight. I read with great interest your article about the fake emails being sent to elected officials. I thought that was really interesting. Explain what's going on.
Yeah, this is something that I think one of these stories that has legs. I'm going to keep following it, and I think some other people will at this point too. So the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has long tried to change legal practices in the state of Missouri to make it easier for bad actors in business to get away with having defective products and make it harder for consumers who get harmed by those products to sue. The U.S. Chamber and its supporters, the Missouri Chamber, and generally speaking, Republicans, not entirely, but generally speaking, Republicans have tried to say, look, this is just trial lawyers out of control, trying to use Missouri and use St. Louis to go after companies, and their current poster child are the Johnson & Johnson lawsuits, and one of the biggest verdicts in the various Johnson & Johnson lawsuits all over the country came out of St. Louis this summer, $4.7 billion. And so what they want the legislature to do next year is to make it harder for out-of-state victims to combine with in-state victims in order to file their lawsuits here. And so what happened is they've started their campaign. They've got this website up with letters to Missouri lawmakers, and you can go there and click on the letter and send it to your local lawmaker. And lots of state lawmakers are starting to get these letters from their constituents saying, hey, we really want you to change these laws. We don't want these out-of-state trial lawyers coming into Missouri and going after our businesses, which isn't really what's happening, but that's what those letters say. Well, a couple of state lawmakers looked at them, and they know their constituents pretty well. They keep voter lists. They walk doors in their state districts and knock on doors, and they recognize some of the addresses, and they said, I don't think these are the real people. And so they called me, and I started walking some of the blocks in Tower Grove South. Peter Meredith, a state representative who represents that area, got a bunch of these letters. And I found a guy who clearly is on the list of saying he sent that letter, and he said he didn't send that letter. And not only that, he knew a little bit about the issue, and he said, no way I'd send that letter. Consumers ought to be able to hold companies accountable if they've been harmed by a product. Found another guy in South County in the Afton area who grew up with his state representative, Doug Beck, and knows him very well, and if he had an issue with something, wouldn't send an email blindly through his state legislative email. He would go over and knock on his door and talk to him or call him. He's got his cell phone. He knows him. And he's one who allegedly sent an email. And so what these lawmakers are telling me, and what appears to be the case, and the U.S. Chamber is not giving any direct answer on this, nor is the website, a place called standunited.org. Neither of them are answering what happened, but somehow they have set up a system where they're using people's names and addresses, some of them from abandoned homes or empty homes or remodeled homes, Jefferson City State Representative Jay Barnes walked his neighborhood and got letters from at least two places that nobody clearly lives, and then found other people in which the name on the letter is not the person who lives at the address. This is identity theft. That's what some of the lawyers that have talked to me after the column ran said, and Mark Ellebrecht, a Democrat from Kansas City, who also received some of these letters. He believes this is identity theft, and he's alerted the U.S. Attorney's Office to investigate.
Similar to what the Russians are alleged to have done is just sort of, cue the social media, right? To poison the social media well with all sorts of fake stories, fake allegations, fake outrage, faux outrage to sort of sway public opinion. But now they're just sending these fake emails to sway the opinions of the elected officials.
Yeah, we joke about, fake news, and sadly it's become a sort of a meaningless phrase, particularly when the president uses it all the time whenever he doesn't like real news that criticizes him. But this is a big deal because whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right, you want to be able to influence your state lawmaker when you actually care about something. And state lawmakers tell me, and in this case, They always have their legislative aides tell me how many of those letters we got, send a response to say thank you. They count up, I got 40 letters for, I got 30 letters against, or whatever. So they pay attention to these things. And now you have state lawmakers and their legislative aides being paid state, taxpayer dollars, having to take their time to address fake emails. And now you're going to have a situation where they're going to be saying, well, these clearly aren't real, and those clearly aren't real, and these might be real, and how do I know the difference? Because these were real addresses and real names, but they didn't match up. And some of the people who allegedly sent them made it very clear to me and to others that they clearly did not send them. This really messes with democracy. It's a big deal, and it's one of the biggest political funders in the country that is behind it, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce.
Tony Messenger, good stuff. Thanks for checking in. Have a good day. We'll talk to you on Thursday.